we thought that it would be nice to have a discussion, as people say. All right, you guys ready? So it's time for the 7 o'clock briefing. Losing track of time, having so much fun. So earlier, we've had a lot of conversations here in the last few days about whether or not there's been conversation. For the 7 o'clock briefing, this is Mr. Henry Service. He'll talk to you. He's one of the organizers of this event. We've been talking together. Some of the things we agree on, some of the things we don't, but we've been able to work together today to kind of try to keep this as peaceful as possible. I will let him tell you what his goal is of this as it relates to the peacefulness or whatever he wants to talk about. But I do kind of want to project that we are working together. We are working with other people. We both ultimately have the same goal, which is to have peaceful demonstration of the First Amendment rights that everybody has. So Henry's been gracious enough to come down and talk, so I'll let him go.
So our goal here today is to have the only peaceful protest in the nation. We're unashamedly want to work within the system for change. Our goals today were just to try to get body cams for the police and to get local control over the police, and we wanted that to be peaceful. For some reason, the mayor saw it fit to have an 8 o'clock curfew on just for this area and have the area cleared at 8 o'clock. And so what we don't want to see happen is it devolve into the same kind of things that happened last night, right? And I want to be clear, I'm less concerned about people's property and broken windows and things burned down than I am about people's humans' lives, because that's what we're here for. We're here because a human being is dead after begging for his life. And so I'm less concerned about that. What I don't want to see happen is my people hurt. We don't want to see them hurt. We don't want to see them gassed. We don't want to see anything happening to them. So if I've talked to the chief and the deputy, and here's where we disagree. I just believe that if they're not doing anything, if they're not hurting anybody, if they are breaking a few municipal ordinances, like being on the street instead of the sidewalk, they should be left alone. What we don't want to do is provoke a riot. We don't want to have this size of a crowd devolve into a riot. You know, and I can see things happening now. We simply just want to be able to protest. This is America. We, from the Boston Tea Party forward, we've had protests. We've had people breaking the law. My people specifically wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't break a few rules. The function and what the focus should be on, how are those rules affecting anything? We shouldn't want to riot. We shouldn't want to riot. This is a peaceful demonstration, and if the police riot, they'll get the riot that they want, and if they allow us to peacefully demonstrate, I think we'll be fine.
How do you move this conversation forward? There's been a lot of protests over the killings of unarmed people for years now, but how do you move this like a step forward?
Well, we realize that our organization didn't go for a pie in the sky, let's stop racism. Racism is as American as apple pie. We want specific things. The conversation going forward is police accountability, and we think we can get some police accountability by making them wear body cams. There was money allocated in the budget for police body cams, and they're just not using it. I don't want to hear from anybody that we don't have money for body cams, because we're talking about people's lives. The city's got to find the money for that. And we also need to take local control over the police department. It's not a silver bullet. Local control over the police department will start to have things happen quickly. You notice in Minnesota, those officers were arrested almost within days, and charges were brought almost within days. That's a situation where you have local control over the police department, where the police have been left to focus and to police themselves. We haven't even had charges, no arrests, and we have at least within this year 5 or 6 people murdered by the police. We want the police to take. We don't need the police taking responsibility and control over policing themselves. We want to police the police. We may not get the results we want, but we'll get better than we have now.
Are you advising the people in your group? Well, what is your group? And are you advising them to leave before the 8 o'clock curfew?
My group is Enough is Enough, and we're the ones who organized this protest. And no, I am not advising them to leave by 8. I'm not telling them one way or the other. There is no need for an artificial 8 o'clock curfew when you know in advance that we had at least 10 or 11,000 people interested or coming to our protest. They knew there was going to be a big crowd down here. An artificial 8 o'clock curfew is just a way to spark violence. If they're not doing anything wrong, they should be able to be on the plaza or in this general area just like any other night. But what you're doing when you put in an artificial 8 o'clock curfew is you're stifling dissent. When you block things down after you give us a permit to march and to run a protest, and then you give an artificial 8 o'clock curfew, you're stifling you're stifling dissent. What you're saying is you can only have dissent against the government under these set conditions, and we're going to give you to 8, and at 8 is when your dissent stops. Our dissent stops when the police stop killing people. The police haven't stopped killing people, and so we're still mad.
Mr. Service, there are gallons of milk being lined up along the curb there by the fountain. Are you guys prepared to get gassed? Are you guys ready to, riot essentially later tonight?
No, we're not prepared. We're not prepared to riot. I mean, when you say prepared to riot, it makes it sound like we came down here to riot. But if the police gas us, then we want to. We
need to quit protesting and have a barbecue where everybody comes together as family.
I think we'll call it here tonight, and we'll get back at 8 o'clock. And if Mr. Service wants to come back, we will.
Can you say spell your first and last name?
My first name is Henry, Henry, and my last name is middle initial is C. My last name is Service, just like it sounds, Service. I'm a local attorney, so a lot of people know who I am. But let me just finish that thought. Look, there's a lot of good police officers. My brother happens to be a police officer, but but dissent, like I said, is as American as apple pie. The fact that we line up milk and baking soda so that we can clean our eyes from gas doesn't mean we want to fight. It just means we're prepared for a fight. If there's a fight, we don't want to get hurt. It's just like when you go and ride your motorcycle with a helmet. We're doing the same thing. But our goal is peaceful, and so far, and mark the time, it's been peaceful all day, and we had one of the largest protests in the nation. Largest organized protests in the nation right here in Kansas City, and it's been peaceful all day long. And so all we need to do is just breathe, take a step back, and maybe we can keep it peaceful.
Captain Jackson, any arrests in the last hour since you guys last gave us an update?
I don't think so. We were just talking about, was that in the last hour? I don't even remember. We arrested 2 people. I don't remember if that was more than an hour ago. We did arrest 2 people out in the street.
Okay, and have you guys are you planning to give them a warning now that we're about an hour out from the curfew? Are you planning to address the crowds?
We feel like we have given warnings. I think that we have given warnings. We have told them that there is an 8 o'clock curfew.
We've advised them that there's an 8 o'clock curfew.
They know that there's an 8 o'clock curfew. We put that on social media. I know that the mayor announced it. So yes, we feel like we have communicated that there is an 8 o'clock curfew. All right, thanks. We'll see you guys in an hour.
Thanks.